Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we are going to be talking about Ripple and XRP, as well as the vast majority of crypto and finance. And guys, today is officially the day. So essentially today is the day that we see the FedNow launch. Now, is this going to change the price of XRP? Is XRP going to skyrocket from this? No, absolutely not. And anyone FOMOing in, expecting it to skyrocket from the FedNow launch and all this kind of stuff, you know, they're not going to make it. I'm just going to say that because, listen, these events are not, significant for price action. I do think that we will see XRP continue to have a great day in the field around price action. I talked about it. I do believe that XRP will eventually make a new all-time high, but it won't be because of these events like the FedNow launch. The significance around the FedNow launch is that, guess what? We finally have the rails in terms of real-time payments being put in place. This allows for innovations like RippleNet with XRP to be utilized. This is a massive obstacle that is getting broken. This is why this is a historical launch. So this, to me, when we look at the FedNow service, it is crucial. It is crucial for the next evolution of payments and payment technology to take place. And that is why I'm so bullish on what Ripple is doing with XRP and crypto itself, because this is the next evolution. This is the next generation of payments and payment technology. Now, with that in mind, is Ripple being utilized within FedNow? Let's talk about this, because I'm going to go over a few shocking things going all the way back to like around 2017, 2016 as well. And it all starts with a few images. So here's the first image. And here we have Brad Garlinghouse over here. Now, who is he standing next to? This is a high-level advisory group of the IMF's Interdepartmental Working Group on Finance and Technology. Now, this is taken at Singapore FinTech Festival, and you see all of the major leaders here. A lot of them are from the IMF or even the MAS. You also have the DTCC there, which is, settling and moving trillions of dollars and even quadrillions of dollars in security transactions per year. You have a few other individuals here as well. You have Christine Lagarde. These are very, very high level ranking elites around the global financial system. And of course, who's there? Brad Garlinghouse. Over here, blockchain and banks, Brad Garlinghouse. Ross Lecco, Deputy General Counsel, International Monetary Fund. Then also over here, so we have the IMF, Director of Monetary Markets, IMF, Chairman Saudi Arabian Monetary Authority. You have Christine Lagarde. You have the Chief Executive Hong Kong Monetary Authority as well. And then you have, of course, Brad Garlinghouse. Ripple has been entrenched in the global financial system for as long as I can remember. And I really want you guys to understand the significance of building these connections early on, because these images are years and years ago now, but they are so crucial today more than ever before, because we know that Ripple has been working with the elites forever on this new financial system and this new financial system technology as well. And also recently, shout out to 801_XRP. We do see fam. So for those wondering about this picture, June 22nd to the 23rd, 2023, world leaders are meeting up for summit for a new global financial pact, the new Paris Agreement, building a new consensus for a more united international financial system. I got a link below in the thread. Go take a look. Interesting stuff. Plus, it's different world leaders agreeing on a new financial system. Now, Christine Lagarde, going back to these images, Christine Lagarde is here. Christine Lagarde is also here in this image. And you have Brad Garlinghouse there. But then who's this individual? Oh yeah, that's right. That's Michael S. Barr. This is the Vice Chair for Supervision at the Federal Reserve. And guess what? This is also an individual that was a former crypto advisor for Ripple. He's an ex-Ripple advisor, and now he is on the Federal Reserve as a vice chair for supervision. And here we have him at this agreement, this new summit agreement for a new financial pact for a more united international financial system. Now, as we scroll down, we can see building a new consensus for a more united international financial system, increasing fiscal space and mobilizing liquidity, scaling up investment in green infrastructure, unlocking finance for the private sector, steering committee, designing innovative financial solutions, FOI, climate vulnerability. And they do talk about a few things down here. You see on this slide, building a new consensus for a more united international financial system. And then also over here, the last slide is pretty interesting. They're talking more so about the infrastructure. So they're talking about the fight against poverty, the decarbonization of our economy in order to achieve carbon neutrality by 2050, and the protection of biodiversity are closely linked, which, you know, this is their agenda that they've been pushing in terms of the elites. But they also do talk about the reform of all infrastructures such as the World Bank, the IMF, public and private funds, and how we need to start a new process. And it's kind of comical that the IMF and the World Bank are tied to this, because we know Ripple has been tied back to the IMF and the World Bank forever now. But then we also do see down here a new global financial pact. In order to rebuild trust in the international system, we need a new consensus that will determine a level playing field. There's that quote yet again. Share the burden of the ecological crisis and build prosperity and security for all countries. The new global financial pact will define the principles and measures needed to reform the financial system. And here we have those slides as well. Again, as we look at this, I want you guys to understand that this is all coming together at a significant time in the space where you should be focused on the private players like Ripple that are spearheading assets like XRP. And also remember, going all the way back in time to 2017, October 16th, 2017, Ripple and the Gates Foundation team up to level the economic playing field for the poor. Level the playing field. This is all talking about level the playing field. I've talked about it over on Twitter as well. I've connected the dots with some regulations around a level playing field. Even just recently, going back to December of 2022, they were talking about leveling the playing field with the FSB, with the IMF, the BIS, and the G20. And then also down here, we do see something very, very interesting. So as we really kind of look at these quotes, they're talking about a new interoperable system to bring the poor into the global economy, centered out on the Interledger Protocol, the ILP, with Moha Loop, which offers a way for financial providers, governments, and mobile network operators to simplify and reduce the cost of developing inclusive payments platforms. This has been a long-term plan for a very, very long time. I want you guys to realize that this is all on par with the Internet of Value. And we do see this revolutionary technology can be used to provide a bridge between mobile networks and financial providers in order to expand access to the financial services, helping to create an internet of value, all centered out on the bridge. What is the bridge? Well, it's XRP. Ripple has been closely tied to the elites. And whether or not you want to look at this as a good or bad thing, in my opinion, I'm taking a neutral standpoint and saying, listen, we are going to, we're going to be those visionaries that we're investing in this technology. That's going to happen whether or not we are a part of it or not. So we might as well, right? Like, we might as well get extremely wealthy off of this, and then utilize that wealth to help others and create, a better future for those out there that are less fortunate. This is what we do, right? This is all we can really do. But also, there was a Medium post from 2018. This is from Imbar Priest. I hope that I'm saying that name right. But we do see Ripple is seeping into the core of the global financial system. This was 2018. This was nearly 5 years ago. Now, within this, there is so much information. Okay, there's so much information in this, but it's extremely exciting to read this today more than ever, because now we know how significant the connections are. So here we do see the inception of the IMF. It was conceived at the Bretton Woods Conference in 1944. They're talking a little bit more about it. Down here, we do see the conference aimed to establish a third-party order that would facilitate it, international financial cooperation to prevent disasters such as another Great Depression or World War. And so the twin institutions of the World Bank and the IMF were born. The IMF was designed as a watchdog of the monetary exchange rate policies vital to the global markets. Today, the IMF consists of 189 countries working to foster global monetary cooperation, secure financial stability, facilitate international trade, promote high employment and sustainable economic growth, and reduce poverty around the world. Now, Within this, we do see Ripple accumulate clients and banks. So on the 1st of October of 2018, it was announced that Ripple's technology has gone live with 3 companies. And they do mention those companies here. These are both payment providers and Catalyst Corporate Federal Credit Union, a financial institution serving cooperative financial institutions in the US. This was an important milestone for Ripple, which is signing up an average of 2 production customers per week. Ripple is continuing to work diligently with central banks. During the Bangkok FinTech Fair in April earlier this year, Ripple's head of Asian government and regulatory relations said that Ripple is already working with 40 to 50 banks. It's worth noting that Saber was previously, or Sabe, I hope that I'm saying that name right, I'm probably not, was previously employed by Deutsche Bank and JP Morgan. Now, in November of 2017, Ripple hosted tens of the world's central banks at the Central Bank Summit to explore the future of international payments. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse said, "The summit provided an opportunity to explore the full payments landscape, central banks' domestic trials, Ripple's growing cross-border network, and interoperability across systems. Together, these form the beginning of an internet of value where payments move as easily as the data across the internet." Garlinghouse publicly announced that he is certain that by the end of 2019, dozens of banks will use XRP as a liquidity tool, and soon enough, every major bank will be using it. Now, I think that he was a little bit early on that statement, but I do think that we are getting to that point. Now, here we have the relationship between the IMF and Ripple has been simmering on low heat for a while. The IMF has been investigating and endorsing digital currencies more and more, and Ripple seems to have caught its eye. In March of 2017, the IMF established its high-level advisory group on fintech. Chris Larsen, executive chairman of Ripple, is a member. The group will work closely with the IMF's interdepartmental working group on finance and technology to study the economic and regulatory implications of developments in the area of finance and technology. The IMF completed its first high-level meeting on blockchain technology in April of 2017. Now, the head of regulatory relations, Ryan Zagone, which you guys are probably all aware of, said this: "Unlike the Bretton Woods agreements that peg the price of global currencies to gold, Tapscott noted today's meeting wasn't held exclusively in smoky wood-paneled chambers between global elites. Tapscott told CoinDesk, there's a governing power that the IMF has, and I think they should bring together central bank governors, but also the process should be transparent and it should be inclusive, and that people from outside of central banking should be able to provide their input on what needs to be done." Now, the IMF sparked interest in blockchain and digital currencies has intensified ever since. Over the past 2 years, we have these published reports: Central Banking and FinTech, A Brave New World, Going Cashless, The Long and Short of the Digital Revolution, Casting Light on Central Bank Digital Currencies. And this is all from 2017, 2018, 2016. And ever since, we know that they have been entrenched in crypto and digital assets and CBDCs ever since. And we do see in June of 2018, the IMF deputy director argued that for regular fiat to stay relevant, central banks need to tokenize their currencies to be in tune with the times. On the same line of thought, the IMF should fully embrace digital currencies to stay relevant. The IMF endorses digital currencies. At the FinTech Festival in Singapore in November of 2018, the IMF held what may become a historical event in the development of global finance. This is where Christine Lagarde urged central banks follow the winds of change and to start considering issuing their own digital currencies. And we even see like the quotes here: should central banks issue a new digital form of money, a state-backed token, or perhaps an account held directly at the central bank, available to people and firms for retail payments? True, your deposits in commercial banks are already digital, but a digital currency would be a liability of the state, like cash today, not of a private firm. I believe we should consider the possibility to issue digital currency. There may be a role for the state to supply money to the digital economy." Again, everything that we have seen around the IMF and the global elites is talking about this right here. Nonetheless, the IMF emphasizes the importance of, and here's a quote directly from them, "being open to change, embracing change, shaping change. Technology will change and so must we." This is the central point of Lagarde's speech. And guess what? She is photographed sitting next to and meeting with financial leaders around the world, and guess who's always there? Brad Garlinghouse. Ripple is always there in person, whether it be Brad or some other individual from Ripple. They are always there talking about and planning about the new financial system. Now, of course, we do see, according to speculations, Lagarde is subtly referring to Ripple in the speech. For example, she says that the IMF expects money to become more convenient payments, readily available for online and person-to-person use, including micropayments. Ripple does have a micropayment application, Coil. Lagarde continues to say that currency is expected to be cheap and safe, protected against criminals and prying eyes. And we do see with Ripple having significantly low transaction fees, it could be said that the qualities Lagarde refers to as the future of digital currencies are those of Ripple. And we even do see Ripple and the Federal Reserve. Not only is Ripple gaining a spot in the IMF's heart, but it also has been collaborating with the Federal Reserve. Ripple played a leading role in 2015 to 2017 Federal Reserve's Faster Payment Task Force. Ripple's Ryan Zagone was elected to the steering committee of the task force. This is the action plan to enabling faster payments in the US, which resulted in highlighting Ripple's ability to underpin the next generation of cross-border payments. Ripple was the only blockchain technology group selected to join JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, IBM, NASA, BAFT, Visa, MasterCard, and over 300 others. In addition, in 2016, the Federal Reserve expressed its interest in blockchain technology with its paper, DLT in Payments, Clearing, and Settlement, although the fine print clarifies that the views expressed in this paper are solely the responsibility of the authors and should not be interpreted as reflecting the views of the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System or anyone else in the Federal Reserve System. The report discusses how firms are increasingly exploring ways to develop and deploy DLT arrangements for use in payments, clearing, and also settlement. Seeing that Ripple played a major role in the Fed's Faster Payments project, the following quote seems to hint at a possibility of a mass adoption. And again, how do we get through mass adoption of this technology? Well, you have the fundamental rails that the world is going to most likely be utilizing within the course of, possibly a year or 2 years, because we know that FedNow is being massively adopted. There's already 57 firms set to use FedNow's instant payments on launch. So imagine how fast this is going to get adopted in. So this would make sense, right? And we do see technologies that are successful in the pilot phase may then move towards the production stage. Technologies at this stage have the full set of features necessary to facilitate the storage, record keeping, and transfer of the asset being considered. The final stage of the development process is broad adoption of the technology by participants in the payments, clearing, and settlement system. What have I said about mass adoption of this technology? It's not me paying for things in XRP. It's me utilizing the back end technology. That's how you achieve mass adoption. Now, we also do see facilitating the evolution of global finance. This is the end of the article, by the way. So we do see not so long ago, cryptocurrencies were a laughable matter to central financial institutions. And this is an article from 2018. Today, more than ever, we have seen crypto get laughed at by almost every major player. And soon, guess what? Their tune has changed. BlackRock is now looking at adopting crypto, saying that it's going to transcend international currencies. I mean, you can't make this up. Since then, a consensus seems to have been reached that digital currencies are very powerful. What we see playing out in central banks, the IMF, and the Fed is a typical, if you can't beat them, join them. This was from 2018. Today, now we know after the lawsuit, look at everything that has happened. We've seen, regulations being streamlined. We're seeing the launch of the FedNow service. 7 days before the FedNow service launch, we've seen the case get wrapped up. You can't make this up. I don't believe in coincidences. I strongly believe that Ripple is tied to the system because there's already major connections in place. Ripple wants to be a facilitator and transition enabler for these institutions, which would otherwise face the danger of becoming obsolete. This probably would have happened anyway, but Ripple is speeding up the process. These are unprecedented moves in crypto space. Ripple is enabling institutions such as the Federal Reserve, the IMF, and central banks to hold on to their power and move into a new phase. At this point, banks and leading financial institutions will not become obsolete, but thanks to cryptocurrencies, it is becoming optional to participate in the traditional financial system, and that is still a historically significant ability worth celebrating. Now, with everything that we know, right? We know for a fact that the FedNow service is launching within, the next 24 hours. We know that a lot of the providers within the FedNow service, we're talking about Volante, there's so many other ones like I think it was like ECI or ECB. There's ACI as well, or it's ECS. That's what it was. ECS Fin, ACI. You have Volante, like I said, Finastra's there. There's leaders around this space that are providing the technology stack to the FedNow service. And guess what? They're all connected back to the Ripple cloud. And also remember, right, like Finastra, I said over on Twitter, this was July 6th. I said, remember the saying, it all starts in London. Ripple has had long-term connections / partnerships with giant payment infrastructures like Finastra forever, all leading back to thousands of banks / financial institutions. They have been focused on London forever with the recent bill / moves coming from the UK. I'd say that they are more than ready. And again, through these, we know that it's confirmed that XRP is being utilized by banks, but not nearly as much as you'd think. These types of connections / partnerships matter greatly, though. It confirms that Ripple combined with XRP is already connected and ready to go live with scale when the infrastructure / regulations are in place. And the craziest thing about all of this is that we are seeing regulations put in place. We already know that XRP is cleared through regulations. And when we look at infrastructure, the FedNow service is the infrastructure that we need for real-time rails to be put in place for things like this to be utilized. This is all coming together at an incredible time. Yes, we still might be years away from mass adoption, but I believe that we will get there. And it's all through things like Finastra from 2019, mind you, so almost 4 years later, that are still significant today more than ever before. Because when we go back to this video, shout out to XRPville over on Twitter, this is Finastra, the first to be certified with the FedNow for providers for US banks, ISO 20022 instant payments. Check this out.
In the US, you had the clearinghouse as the first wave of instant payments, and now there's FedNow, which is the newer, broader, more encompassing scale. Together with ISO 20022 is going to bring a lot of interesting applications for instant payments that we see. We just certified with FedNow to be one of the first providers of FedNow in the United States for banks. So that's exciting for us. In Europe, we've been doing instant payments in the UK since 2008 with Barclays, with faster payments. So we're pretty well steeped in the knowledge of instant payments. And now with the NPA standard coming out, as well as TIPS in Europe and then SIC5 in Switzerland, you know, we're seeing opportunity across all of the markets that we're operating in and leveraging the expertise that we've had since 2008 in instant payments. I think when you look at instant payments combined with capabilities that ISO 20022 bring, which is broader messaging capability, you know, business cases like request for payment, you know, small businesses asking for funds to be paid as soon as they've shipped something, allows them to receive cash quicker when cash is king for them. All these things are going to evolve in the payments ecosystem, and instant payments is going to get adoption as we move forward. And we're here to make sure our banks can enable that.
And it's so incredible to see this, right? Because, like, you know, one of the most interesting things around this entire space is when you talk about like old articles, like, for example, this is an old article from 2018, right? This is 5 years old at this point. A lot of people will say, like, this is from 2018. Like, come on, this is like old information. ISO 20022 is from 2004, and it's just starting to get adopted massively now. Things in the financial system take time, but this is the core of the global financial system that we are seeing shaken up. And you know what's funny? It's like the Ripple Finastra announcement is from 2019. This is the world's third largest fintech firm. Like I said, this is a massive giant. And even at this time, Ripple was entrenched heavily around the financial system, today more than ever, in my opinion. And as we do look at what I've said over on Twitter here around, you know, this space as well, is like, you know, when we look back in time at the Finastra partnership, we know that they are pioneering Ripple technology. Like Ripple, the enterprise blockchain solution for global payments, and Finastra have teamed up to offer Ripple's blockchain technology to Finastra's payment solutions to support fast cross-border payments. This is all through cloud-based technology as well. Like when you look at the Ripple connectivity, like here's the fact sheet. So like manage cross-border payments easier with RippleNet via Fusion toll messaging. This is all cloud-based. This is RippleNet Cloud. You know what's funny about the FedNow service is that's all cloud-based technology. It's, you know, API technology. And it's funny because ISO 20022, and I even said it, like the significance of ISO 20022 is that all of the banks, any bank of any size, now needs to innovate, and they need to innovate with the next generation financial technology. and it allows them to compete with the big four and the monopoly system, and it levels the playing field. That's right, the quote, levels the playing field. This is a big game changer. Bob Way, actually, from Ripple, he was a previous Ripple employee. He even said that ISO 2022 is a game changer for all banks because it now gives them a level playing field to compete with the financial system giants. And guess what? They are going to choose the best in class technology. And I've said it, Ripple has been pioneering the best in class technology for well over a decade now. So who do you think that they are going to choose? And when we look at the FedNow service, yeah, there's a lot of connections. There's a ton of connections with Ripple with the FedNow service. It's only a matter of time. And I want to wrap this video up with one last tweet. And this is from Chad Steingraber over on Twitter. He posted this, and I'm telling you guys, all I thought about was this is right on par with my thought process. When you see repeat this, say it out loud, because it's maybe the most important statement you're going to get. Next generation fintechs will be the new Nostro Vostro account managers. They will source liquidity on RippleNet. Check this out. The FedNow payment is going to be a headless application. Financial institutions can work with fintechs to implement either mobile apps or online banking platforms that their customers can initiate transactions. The FedNow service is also going to be using the ISO 2022 specifications. As we really kind of look at this, right? Like, fintechs are going to be the new pioneers. This is absolutely massive. And yes, when we look at Nostro Vostro, like there's $27 trillion locked up in Nostro Vostro accounts out there. A lot of people have speculated if that's true or not. It does not matter, right? Like when we look at sourcing liquidity and when we look at liquidity as a service, there's only one major player that has been pioneering that use case. And it's Ripple with XRP on-demand liquidity. The world is changing. New generation technology is here. And it all really starts with the FedNow service. This is why it's so significant to watch this launch, because this is the rails, the infrastructure being upgraded to accommodate for this new technology. Things are moving fast. I think that everyone should be ready for what comes next, whether or not we're still, months or possibly even years away from the big bang around utility. I'm still so excited because everything is falling into place. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, to notifications on. If you guys have more free content, you guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As always, up to you all. Have a beautiful day or beautiful night. Wherever you guys are in this beautiful world, this has been Nick. Peace out, guys.